Hello and welcome to Senior Solutions, where we bring you topics impacting seniors and their families. I'm your host, Mindy Fellington. Have you ever heard about somebody who had a parent that they just wanted to strangle because they were just difficult to deal with for a variety of reasons? Not every parent is, but I'm sure some of you may know of someone who's dealing with that situation. Well, my guest today is Barbara Kane, who is co-author of Coping with Your Difficult Older Parent. It's a guide for stressed out children. And Barbara, I want to welcome you and thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Mindy.
Tell me what the inspiration is for your book.
Well, we have a geriatric practice in Bethesda, Maryland, and we have a lot of adult children who come to us at their wits' end. They don't know what to do because their parents are resisting help, or they just don't know what to do. So they come to us, and we wanted to give them tools on how to cope with their parents because they're not in the library or online. If you were raising a baby, there's a lot of instruction about when they're 2 months old and 4 months old and what to look out for and how to deal with them, but not with older parents. So the book is filled with practice dialogues of how to talk to them in a sort of a wrong way and how to talk to them in a right way and how to understand their problems. It's a compassionate book for older people.
And was there a particular client with whom you were working or a personal situation that you observed that led you to write the book?
Well, actually, my co-author, Grace Lebo, had a relative who was very difficult, and that was the real inspiration, plus our practice.
Aha. So it kind of hit home.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. Mm-hmm. It's the mother of invention, perhaps.
That's true.
Yeah. So tell us more about issues that adult children bring to you about their difficult parent.
Okay, some examples. A daughter might come and say, my mother only wants me. She wants me 24/7. She's always wanted me, and I can't be there for her. Or every time we get together for an event with the family, my mother or father criticizes me to the nth degree, and I am embarrassed, and it happens every time. Or something more serious like my father is self-destructing with eating junk food day and night. He is very depressed. We don't know whether we should intervene and move him or not. He's just extremely depressed. So those are 3 examples.
Well, let's take some of those examples that you just told me about and guide me through how you would work with those particular children.
Well, the mom only wants me, which is really a hard one, is we try to widen her circle of care. It's just,
which translates to?
We need to get in maybe a care manager who's a professional who develops a relationship, visits her a couple times a week maybe. We need to get her maybe into a program during the day. Maybe she needs a caregiver if she's having a beginning dementia. So we need to widen the circle so that the daughter is not the only person in her life.
Mm-hmm. And does it get to a point in time where you might suggest that the parent look to live in an environment that may be more healthy for him or her? For example, a move into an assisted living or an independent living environment to be surrounded by different opportunities for activities and have other relationships as well?
Absolutely. But most of the time, the people that we're talking about in the book do not do well and don't want to change their environment. They resist it because they have what I call a rigid personality structure where they're not adaptable. Aging requires a lot of adaptability. It requires you to cope with all these assaults of aging, like now I have to use a cane, or now I have to use a walker, or now I have to move. And these adaptations, they're like allergic, difficult people who have been difficult all their lives are allergic to some of these aging the aging process.
So it gets it gets exacerbated by the aging process.
Exactly.
All of those difficult things just blow up.
I have to tell you, Mindy, that the book is only a subset of older people. Most older people that are listening to your program right now are probably not difficult at all, and we don't even see them in geriatric practice. I'm talking about people who are very, very negative, critical, see the world in black and white. They don't see the grays of the world. They're self-destructive, they're fearful, and they're very controlling. So these are a subset. You all that are listening or that are seeing the program probably know somebody that is like that.
Right.
We all know people like that.
Yes.
But it's a minority of older people.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Or you would be even busier.
That's right. That's right.
If that's at all possible.
That's right.
Because I know you are also, and I forgot to mention in the beginning that you are also the director of the Aging Network Services.
Right.
And do you want to talk a little bit about that and the types of services and how you help in that capacity?
Yeah.
Which also sort of deals with, of course, the issues that you're talking about in your book.
Right. A stressed out son who is almost giving up trying to intervene in his parents' care might come and might even want to enter psychotherapy with myself or someone else on our staff. We have therapists on our staff to actually sharpen his tools on how he can cope with his parent and look at himself and understand what's getting triggered. When his mother does X, he gets triggered. So entering therapy is one service. Another service is that we have several care managers who are all social workers, and they have a small amount of people to visit, and they go and visit, take the people to doctors, sit in with the doctor, select caregivers, and sometimes mediate between the difficult parent and the son by again having a mediator kind of in between.
Yeah, I know that I've sent several of my clients to work with you who have that situation going on. The parent and the child are having conflicts over living arrangements, etc. And so I've referred them to you for that mediation aspect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, adult children and their difficult older parents can live pretty well, particularly on opposite coasts of this country, all their lives until the older parent needs something or is frail or is failing, declining, not going to a doctor, not wanting to move. And then then it's a lot of friction. Then the kids fly in and see what's happening and get very upset and try to push a lot. And what we do is we try not to push because we're not getting triggered because we're not the children. So we can be objective. Actually, the reason we wrote the book and we have this practice is to help adult children be more objective about their parents. It's very hard to do that.
I was just going to say, and how does one do that, please?
Well,
some tips, please.
Tips. Okay. It's very hard to give a tip in a minute, but
well, you have a few. Don't rush, because I love to hear these.
Well, it's shifting from a position of anger and disgust towards your parent to a position of compassion that they're a little bit ill emotionally. And that shift can take some therapy sometimes because you can't just pretend you're not angry. So we try to help adult children make that shift, but it's not just an intellectual shift, it's an emotional shift. So sometimes it's a process and it takes time. When I say to a daughter that your mother sounds like she's a bit emotionally ill because she's doing all these behaviors that are in our questionnaire in the front of the book.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
At some
well,
point.
when she sees these behaviors, she can actually see that her mother is a little ill. And it really helps, because when that same mother breaks her leg, she can recognize that she needs physical therapy and she needs help. The daughter can recognize it. But when someone has a difficult personality, they dismiss that mother can help mother can, if she tried hard, she doesn't have to be difficult. But it's an illness just like diabetes or heart disease. It doesn't get good press. It doesn't get enough attention because it doesn't have a cast around it.
Right.
It doesn't show, except that it shows.
Yes.
In relationships.
Touché. Well said. Tell me about the questionnaire in the book that deals with what to look for.
We divide difficult behaviors into several segments. One is dependency behaviors, and then we list like 6 under there. We list turn-off behaviors like being very critical and being very nasty and seeing the world just in black and white. You're good one day, Mindy, and you're terrible the next day. So we divide them into behaviors rather than putting names on them, clinical social work names. We do it by behaviors. So we use that. Some people use it by their telephone, and when their mother is talking, they check what the mother is doing because they're trying to be more objective.
I love that. This is invaluable, really, because it's a guidepost.
Yeah.
And I think it is a good, for me, it leads me to think that it's something that's more concrete. Like, okay, I'm not crazy, or am I being, as a child of an older parent, am I the one who's being difficult?
Right.
So this is really helpful.
People that fill it out feel enormous relief, usually.
Cathartic, as they say.
That it's not just their situation.
Yeah.
Other mothers and fathers are like this.
Yes, very helpful. And I meant to ask you, too, is some of this covered by insurance, some of the services you offer?
The psychotherapy for an adult child is partially covered by their health insurance. We actually do psychotherapy in older people's homes under Medicare that's completely covered.
That's great to know.
The care management, which is the person going out and helping them navigate resources, is not covered by insurance.
Okay. But it's good to know that you're actually able to go to an older person's home. So I'm assuming 65 and older, and that would be covered by Medicare.
Or they can come in the office.
Are there other behaviors that you wanted to address that are in your questionnaire?
Well, I think the most difficult behaviors are the controlling ones. No one likes to be controlled. But I want to speak to where these behaviors come from, if we have a minute.
Well, you know what? We're about to take a short break, and when we come back, what we'll do is we'll start up with that.
Great.
Okay? Sound good?
Yeah.
Thank you. And we will be right back.
Are you getting this, honey?
Oh, prime time. We are rolling.
All right, Mama's gonna bring it home. Mama's gonna bring it home. Okay.
Come on, watch this guy.
Oh, backwards!
Oh, don't. Okay.
It went into Bob and Carol's yard. Oh, no? Okay,
Yeah.
here it goes.
Oh, Mom!
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
All right, let's see what you can do. All right, let's go.
They might surprise you.
Let's go.
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
Welcome back to Senior Solutions, where we bring you topics impacting seniors and their families. I'm your host, Mindy Fellington, and I'm joined today by Barbara Kane, who's co-author of Coping with Your Difficult Older Parent, a guide for stressed out children. And we left off, Barbara, where you were going to start talking with us about why do these people develop these behaviors?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Well, what we think is that in early life, we're talking about 1, 2, and 3 years old, maybe 4 and 5. I mean, I'm talking very, very young. There's some either a big abandonment or separation or something that went wrong with their childhood development, and it usually has to do with environmental, like their mother or father left, or they got very ill and had to go to the hospital, or a series of tiny little neglectful kinds of treatment towards the baby. So it can be
Interesting.
a big event, like a hospitalization, or it can be, a series of, neglect or abuse, but not really reportable, just subtle, where the child gets stuck in their development. And that's why when I say some children see the world in black and white, some children do, they do in a very young age, but they go on to see the grays of life, But if they're stuck at that developmental stage, they see you are good one day, as I said before, and you are terrible the next day. And we have grandmothers who actually shun their grandchildren because one day the grandchildren go off to college, and to them it feels like an abandonment. So a lot of these difficult older people suffer from abandonment feelings all the time, and they can't help it. So when you disagree with them, it feels like an abandonment. When you leave their house, it feels like an abandonment. So it's hard to understand this.
Yes, very complex.
Yes, it is.
And long-lasting, obviously.
Well, it never goes away, so they don't change. So we get children who say, take my parents and fix them. And then bring them back.
And bring them back.
And we say, or maybe not bring them back, and we say, well, you're the one that needs to be changed. You have to change. You have more capacity to change than your parents. So these particular difficult parents have been difficult all their lives, and they can't change. They're going to die like this. But the children keep at it and trying to say the right things and trying to get their parents to come around, and get very depressed and frustrated until they finally can realize that the parents are going to die this way. And the children have to change. When I talk about children, I'm talking about people in their 60s.
Right.
They have to change.
Yes, which is also not necessarily an easy thing.
No, it isn't.
Yeah. Well, in some circles that's young, and in some not so much.
That's right.
And lots of imprinting has been made, because I suppose it's that vicious cycle that I hear about, that your parent does the best they can because that's what they know, that's what they grew up with. So then the child, I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the child is then pretty much imprinted with that same personality or behavior.
But if they're not, they don't have to be carbon copies of their parents' personality. The ones that come see me usually, they're not as difficult, and they have more capacity in their personality to change, because they're coming for change. They're the ones that are coming for help. They want to change.
Right. They have identified themselves. Right. Help me.
That's right.
Help me.
And they also say to me, I never want to be difficult. Tell me how I can not be difficult. And I say, if you're coming here for help and you're coming to look at your own self, you're probably not going to be difficult. And they sigh with relief.
Yeah. So that's the pill. That's the magic, bringing the parent back.
Right.
You're kind of, now you're saved. You're cured.
You're wanting help to look at yourself, and one reason you want to do that is not only to get along better with your parents, but your children are watching you. They're watching you cope with a difficult parent.
So the sandwich generation.
Yeah, you need to sort of get it together before your parent dies, because your children are learning about how you cope with a difficult person. Because the children are going to deal with difficult bosses and difficult girlfriends and difficult boyfriends, and they're watching you and how you deal with your parent.
So it's pervasive.
It affects all generations.
And this is probably not something you can readily answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway, and that is, can you give me, say, an average time frame that you're spending working with the children who are dealing with a difficult older parent? Just some sense.
You mean
on
in therapy?
In therapy.
I'd say a year or so.
Yeah, because it's not
But
a
some
magic.
people actually are more ready to change, and they're not as angry. and they can adopt some of these. We have these scripts in the book, and they can actually, I'll talk about one right now.
Yeah, please, give us
They can
examples.
use, one tool is using a lot of empathy to not escalate an argument.
So what
So
would
if an example would be, a mother is going to look at a retirement home, and she says, that retirement home is too far from my shopping. And the daughter says, I know you're used to such convenient shopping. And the mother says, yeah, I am. And I also don't like the people who are in this retirement home. And the daughter says, uh-huh. Now, her two responses are very counterintuitive. Most daughters would say, the mother would say, I don't, the retirement home is not near shopping, it's too far away. And the daughter would say, yeah, it's a little far away, but you know, you'll get, then there's the but you'll get used to it. So what we do is we take away the but, and the children sometimes are more ready to sort of follow these scripts, which is empathize. Oh yeah, Mom, I understand. And then she'll say, the daughter will say, uh-huh, tell me what you're feeling. Oh, you're not going to like those people. It will be hard at first. So it's a lot of these statements without the but.
Yes, how helpful.
That's one thing. The other thing is don't argue. Because if you want to, I picture difficult people, even not necessarily older, but I picture it as logs with ember. You know, it's ready to be blown up. You know, they're always kind of seething a little bit.
Good
so
analogy.
You can really provoke that very easily by arguing or personalizing. You can really escalate arguments, or you can try to keep it down. And one way is not to argue and not to think it's all your fault, and to be pretty empathic, but also to set limits, you know, not to let the person walk all over you.
Give us an example of how that would work.
Mother will say, I want to live with you. I'll pay for the addition. I'll move in. You don't have to worry about the kids. And the daughter says, you know, Mom, you know how you and I irritate each other. I don't, it's not a good idea. Oh, but I'll pay for the addition. No, Mom, if you live nearby, it'll be great. But not in our house, it's not going to work. That's an example of limit setting.
But that had a but in it.
Oh, it did. I have to take out the but.
Which is, that can be challenging, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really takes, it sounds like it really takes a lot of hard work to reprogram what, I guess I'm not the only one who does this, but get sort of defensive or argumentative when you're having those conversations.
Right, because the parent is sometimes not rational. These people, not most older people, but sometimes
right.
They're not rational, and so it's very easy to say, but Mom, you have to remember, you know, you didn't, whatever it was, you don't have any friends. You say you have all these friends, you don't, you know, the correction is not helpful.
Mm-hmm. But human nature, is it not?
It is. So you have to reprogram, like you say, and sometimes people are more ready to do that, and it works. I have people calling me and saying, you know, I just did a lot of empathy and I didn't argue, and my whole relationship has changed. It's incredible, they say to me. I just took argument out. I'm never going to argue with my parent again.
Wow.
And it worked.
That's powerful. That's powerful stuff.
It is.
Tell me about one of your most, I guess, greatest success stories. Somebody that was having a really difficult time to the point where they were ready to
strangle.
Yes.
Well, I have a daughter who has a very self-centered mother, and she says to her daughter she demeans her daughter all the time. You're no good. You're just no good. I wish I never had you.
Oh.
I mean, something very extreme. And the daughter went through years of analysis, hoping,
why? I wonder why.
hoping that she'd figure out why she herself was so awful. But she took a look at this questionnaire and realized that her mother suffered from being very self-centered all her life and needing to be pumped up all the time with compliments, but this mother mashes everybody down to feel good. And that's what sometimes narcissism is a constant, oh, Mom, you're great, you're great, you're great. And then Mother is temporarily pumped up. But it's hard work to do that. So the daughter learned the skills of doing that. And it was a huge success story. Now they get along.
Oh, wow. That is a huge success story. And how wonderful for the daughter, just because I could only imagine that her self-esteem, or lack thereof, had to be...
It was on the ground.
Yeah.
And now she understands that she has a little bit of a sick mother.
Yeah. Well, that's how rewarding it must be for you to be on the other side of that.
Yes.
Give us some tips on having a more peaceful relationship with a difficult parent. I know we touched on it, but I'd love to hear more.
Well,
For that subset.
what?
For that subset,
right.
of course.
I think it would be helpful if the children went to their relatives and asked about their mother or father's upbringing to get a good idea of the suffering that they went through. Because the little acknowledgement in our book is so their pain may be better understood. They're in a lot of pain, these parents. It'd be nice if the children went to some aunts and uncles and asked about their upbringing. And that helps to get to that transition from anger to sort of more compassion.
Bridging the gap, sort of filling in some of the missing pieces.
Right.
Because the parent's perspective, I would imagine, of their upbringing versus the reality can be quite different.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. When should a child intervene in their parent's care?
When the risk is very high, the parent is going out naked, has dementia, driving when they have Alzheimer's disease, not eating at all. We call it failing to thrive. When they're really high risk is severe. It's severe.
Yeah, that sounds very dangerous. So, yes. If someone would like to get in touch with you or certainly would like to buy your book, how would they do that, Barbara?
They buy their book in any bookstore or off Amazon. And it's 301-657-4329. And we give a free half-an-hour get-acquainted session in our office in Bethesda.
Okay. Very nice. Well, I want to thank you very much for being here today. I found it very helpful for me to have a better understanding of the interaction that I see with my clients as well and their children. So, again, thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome, Mindy.
And if you have any ideas for a show or you would like to get in touch with me, feel free to reach me at seniorsolutionsTV@gmail.com, and we will see you next time.
Together now, we can make it better now. Come on.
Moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier. Search We Can to find out more.
Crack yellow.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.